3. We're going to do part 1, part 2, and part 3.
All right, so let's see. As soon as it starts, I'll let you know.
It's recording right now.
All right, welcome back to Adventures Guide to the Galaxy. Me, Daryl Guberman, and our young gentleman behind are the guests today. CNBC, FAA reportedly didn't review crucial Boeing 737 MAX systems before fatal crashes. Now, we're going to do a speed video. Daryl Guberman, take us away.
Thank you. My name is Daryl Guberman. I'm the president of Guberman PMC LLC. Been involved with quality going on now 40 years in aerospace, medical implants, medical materials, printing, and plastic distribution, where I dealt with all kinds of different companies. We have a special guest here. We have Douglas McIntyre of the 24/7 Wall Street, and he did an excellent article, a really, really good article on May 27th of this year. Boeing needs to fire CEO David Calhoun. Now, I was saying that, Brighton, I was saying that 5 years ago when we were doing over the 3,036 videos. The problem, though, with Mr. McIntyre is that when I was talking with him, I said, you didn't hit upon the crucial areas. That there's over 12 people on the board of directors of Boeing, 7 of which can allocate and vote on compensation for the CEO. So basically, out of the 12, he's got this, this deck is stacked for him or whatever CEO at the time. In fact, David Calhoun used to be Mr. McIntyre, Douglas. He wrote an article about Boeing back in August 21st, 2019, where he stated that Boeing CEO Muhlenberg has been fired. On top of that, Muhlenberg made $23 million in 2018, the year the first Boeing 737 MAX crashed, minutes after takeoff in the Sea of Indonesia. So you have all these people, and you'll find out when you dig through that, none of them on the board know anything about quality, number one. Nobody knows anything about aerospace. Well, maybe David Calhoun, when he was working at GE Aerospace, he probably put his hand on the engine, and that's the way he got aerospace experience. But he was a number cruncher. That's all he was. But I will say this, Douglas McIntyre really did a great job with those 2 articles, the one about David Calhoun. I wish that he would interview me because I sent him a couple more documents. And I told him I was going to put him in a video because, I asked him to come here, and here he is in the paper flesh, so to speak. But I want to go on a little bit further, Brighton, if you don't mind, if I have the stage.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The American National Standards Institute has both federal agencies and corporations. Now, they changed the name of this. It used to be ANSI's members and management, which means if they're management, they have some say in the operations and function of ANSI. So you have the American National Standards Institute, who took over the American National Crediting Board, an accreditation body that they've been hanging out with for many, many decades.
Yeah.
And ANSI, too, is an accreditation body, not just a standard writer. In fact, if you look at SurfSafe, you'll see the ANSI symbol on it. If you look at Cargill Beef and look at the British Retail Consortium that certifies our beef, I don't know why Britain is doing it, but I guess they do. Cargill Beef is certified by ANSI. They're also not only writing standards, but they're also accrediting organizations. So it's basically they're buttering their bread on both sides because you have ANSI and ANAP. Here we go. As you can see, in 2000, and we're going to bring this back because this Chinese gentleman, Zhao
classic.
Yeah,
classic.
Yes, this is a classic flowchart, but I'm going to say this as well, that it's worse than that because the Chinese national was involved with our quality since 1994. He was on the IAF as the chairman between 2015, 2021. The damage has been done. Sitting on the IAF is Lockheed Martin. We did that in the last video, showed everybody. Randy at the time was the chairman of the IAF. He handed it over. He was also not only the chairman, but between, was it 2011, 2017, he was also the actual principal on the IAF tax report, which means he was the guy who governed the body, so to speak. So, and it's absolutely disgusting. You have ANSI and ANAP. Took over ANSI, took over ANAB in 2018. You'll also
breaking up a little bit.
See some corporations on board, like Boeing, sitting Boeing is sitting on ANSI, right over by their accreditation body, ANAP. In fact, this is what fails. This was taken from 2017. You will see a Mr. Tim Lee here. Mr. Tim Lee, Boeing, and he sat on the ANAB Management System Accreditation Council, 7/31/2017. And he, okay, you got to hear this. The Management System Accreditation Council grants, suspends, and withdraw accreditation of certification bodies. Okay, so what happened with their 737 MAX? Who knows? You also have Randy over here who stated that an IAF MLA, which is a multilateral arrangement or agreement organization, is equivalent in accreditation to ANAB. And those equivalencies are Iran and Pakistan, who sit on the IAF, and also at one time Libya and North Korea. Can you imagine that? We have a picture of Zhao Jinwu standing there happily in the Wuhan, China lab in 2017. He is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services in Beijing, China. We have the actual certificate here that shows you that Zhao Jinwu is the chief executive. They are an IFMLA, which means that they could go into Lockheed, they can go into Boeing, they can go into Carpenter Steel, they can go into Cargill Beef, and basically do an audit and issue them a certificate because, as Randy said, they are equivalent in accreditation to ANAP. The thing about it too, Brian, is this, is that ANAP is an underwriter, or now it's ANSI ANAP, is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Form, which means this. For those lawyers, and that's another story, for those lawyers who are trying to sue China, Wuhan, China, that is not where the liability lies. The liability lies with the underwriter, like ANSI ANAP, the underwriter, okay? They are an underwriter, and that's what the lawyer should do. The only problem, those people who are trying to sue Wuhan, and you have your attorney, the American Bar Association and ANSI are intimately involved in operational function together. They work together. We're going to go on a little bit further because I wanted to show the people this. I wanted to show the fact that you have the Department of Homeland Security. We're not too secure. At the time, this was 2018. Philip Matheson, Executive Director of Office of Standards, U.S. Department of Homeland Security. He's the master standard. So he's part of the problem. He's part of ANSI, even though he sits there getting his federal salary. And this is how much he makes. Tax-free royalty payment, $262,814. And he doesn't look too happy, even though it's tax-free money. You also have the real scam organization, the Department of Commerce, who has a lot of things. ConStep is in Connecticut. They have 50 different branches of the NIST MEP, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, Manufacturing Extension.
Breaking up a bit. Breaking up just a tiny bit. 1 second.
Is that okay? There we go. You'll find out with the NIST MEPs, 50 strong in each state. They get money, both federal and state funded, these organizations. 64.85% of it goes to pay their management personnel, and the bitter dregs are left over to the companies. You have NIST, and NIST has this guy, his name is another one, Gordon Guberman, Director of Standards and Coordination. Now, do you see each one of these federal agencies are filtering their own feathers, they're feathering their own cap, meaning that ANSI has a spy, basically a worker at the Department of Homeland Security. They've been watched over, and ANSI and ANAP both sit on the IF during the time when that Chinese national was there, a communist national. On top of it, Randy Dodry was sitting on the Department of Homeland Security being advertised as a standard guru until I broke a video about how can Randy and a private company be advertised on a government agency's website. They took it down. Within 6 months, he disappeared, and they put some other page up there. But you have Gordon Guberman, on top of his federal salary, he's getting $120,361 tax-free. You have Joe Bhatia. Let's bring Joe Bhatia, the CEO, who in 2015 was, their base salary is $1.6 million. he got a bonus of like 750,000. He gets 75,000 to invest in a 401k, and on top of that, he got a $35,500 not taxable bonus, which means, and there it is. It says, being the incestuous relationship between ANSI and ANAP. For God's sake, Joe Bathia, CEO ANSI, don't ignore this. Because they're all sitting on ANSI's board, the FAA, who seceded inspection to Boeing, meaning that they said, Boeing, you want to design the 737, design, develop, build, flight worthiness, and then we'll sign it off for you. Because, and here he is, Steve Dickinson, who was the FAA chief between 2019, and he just got off in March of 2022. The FAA sits on ANSI right over by Boeing. Okay, and this is FAA Steve Dickinson's agency membership with ANSI compromises integrity by China oversight. And here we go. Here's Boeing. Boeing. And by the way, the compensation that the Department of Homeland Security, that's only some of them, and also NIST get, these are the hours that they work to achieve that type of salary. Okay, these are the actual hours. Can you just imagine that? You don't make this crap up. And this is what I think we should all do is boycott Boeing, but you have a lot of sheeps. The thing about it out there is I have throughout my life, I've always intimidated the meek, the weak, and the sheep. And there's a lot of that. I also bring this out again to show you an actual official. This was in 2020. We took this at 10:07 p.m. We took a snapshot because I know once we started to expose this, they started changing around. Like, I don't even think the Lockheed Martin is on the IF anymore. They hit it. But you'll have Tim Lee, who's Boeing company, who sits on the ANAB Management System Accreditation Council, grants, suspends, and withdraws accreditation of certification bodies. It looks like he failed when it comes to the 787, the 777, and also the 737 MAX. You also have Boeing.
Hold on, you're breaking up again.
They got hacked by, but that's professional. It's not hacking, it's giving their data away. To make matters even worse, Brighton, is you have 7 registration companies sitting by their accreditation body that Boeing, as some of their suppliers, uses, okay? And you also have Boeing on their supplier portal saying you have to use ANSI, ANAB, or international equivalent for Boeing, which means China could come in there, Iran could come in there, Pakistan could come in there. They will tell you, if you were interviewing the newest guy at the IAF, who is Accredia International, which is an Italian accreditation body, he would say, he'd probably shrug his shoulders because he doesn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah, they're just like, whatever, I'm just here to collect a paycheck.
That's exactly it. And I want to just get off topic just slightly, Brighton, because I want to show people this. Here is biotech. And we did this once before. Allergy warning for Pfizer biotech.
Breaking up a little bit.
UK health. You take a look at this, and it really, I symbolize the jackass. We need not go into that, but that is the meek, the weak, and the sheep. You have Pfizer that sits on ANSI's board, right over by, look who's here, the FDA.
Of course.
FDA approved Pfizer under the Emergency Authorization Act. Sitting on the ANSI is also the CDC, NIH, USDA, all of these organizations that basically twisted the arm. They twist the arm of the people who are getting the jab. On top of that, and the last thing I'm going to show you is this. The FDA sits on ANSI's board right over by ANAB. And in 2018, the FDA expands ANAB's recognition under the accredited third-party system. And we have to go back here because I want to show you this. You will see that right over, there's Cargill beef. The FDA is right on here. And we will show this to you because I want to show this to the, you have to really look at this and observe it pretty well because it's absolutely disgusting when you have, and here it is. You have Boeing, and here it is. You have Charlotte Christian or Kristen, FDA, sitting on Boeing's board. So you have both. You have the FDA approving ANAB, sitting on ANAB's board. Is that oversight? Is that
Yeah.
consistent quality and integrity? No, that's
Yeah.
why we have failure. So the final
Hold
thing we're going to do is show you.
on, you're breaking up a little bit. We're gonna pause for a second because you're breaking up a little bit.
We're going to show you what it stands for. What it really stands. Still, it's breaking up.
Yeah, just give it a couple seconds to buffer for a second. Yeah, it's good now. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. So the IAF is the International Accreditation Form. It's incorporated in Delaware. There's 3 different areas where you can send the checks to: Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Canada, and Australia. So they're filtering money somewhere, somehow. And as an international accreditation form, they should be their monetary value should be like $90 million, because you have all these, these accreditation bodies, on there, but it's not that way. It's kind of fishy. But what IAF stands for, especially with Boeing and with Pfizer and with Johnson & Johnson, with all these failures, the Littoral Battleship, the F-35, and it goes on and on and on. This is what the IAF stands for. It always fails. So I hand it back to you, sir. I think I've done enough damage here right now.
Fantastic. So we just went over a lot of information because, like we do in our other videos, we try to show people how a lot of the stuff is happening in the military community right now. A lot of people are really starting to figure this stuff out because they're super really into trying to figure out how they're getting screwed and everything, and like all of the, because of all this stuff and all the things going on. I was talking to a couple of my friends today, and we were just talking about this right before this video. So I'm going to see if I can't possibly send one of these videos, this one, over to, it's called Northern Provisions too. It's he's a guy, he's trying to figure out the connection between the U.S. Bidenstein and the Chinese government, because they're, pretty much handed them Afghanistan and sold it to them.
Do you know what it is? ANSI is the root cause of the problem in a lot of ways, because they have both corporations and federal agencies. They've got Huawei on ANSI. Huawei was one of the biggest cybersecurity risks, and it's absolutely horrendous.
Just the thought of that,
I will say that,
my mind.
Yes, and NIST is corrupt as hell. NIST runs the national, this is what they say, National Voluntary Laboratory Program. You know what that is? That's a fraud.
Yeah.
There's nothing as voluntary with these people. Do you see how the Department of Homeland Security and also NIST, ANSI feathers their own nest by having those 2 people are standard, for quality, and yet the quality isn't good? And it's just absolutely ridiculous. What Thomas Paine said is true, and we really have to really think about this. He said, when all the rights are taken away, the right of rebellion is made perfect. What a great statement that is. Because right now you have our federal government and corporations not doing the right thing for the American people. And you ask somebody on the street, that's the way it is, Daryl. That's the way it is.
That's how it is, bro.
Let me tell you something. We have the actual documents as well about the Dominion voting machines being a fraud. The election, you think that was, we have that document. Not only me, I've got a couple other people too.
Yeah,
I'm only
the entire government, they're all in on like, no, just make sure they don't do anything, because essentially we're at this point where we're all looking at each other. We know they're full of crap. They're looking at us like, oh shit, and that's it. That's where we're at right now.
Well, in a situation like this, what we've done today with this video, I think, is we've taken that rotten log in the woods and we've rolled it over, and it's shining the light of integrity, honesty, and the truth on these insects in our federal government and corporations. When you have on Boeing's board, out of the 12 people, you have 7 that can issue a performance bonus to the CEO. You can do stock options for the CEO. You have the stack decked. I could run Boeing better. Without a doubt, I could run it better. The first thing I would do is get rid of that board and get people who really have some experience and knowledge, not just about their particular areas of how good the wine is or the caviar, but people who are really conscientious about not only the quality of the aircraft, but also have knowledge of the operational function of the organization. Those 12 people, including David Calhoun, do not have that type of intellect. All they are number crunchers and how good to check if their beer is cold enough at a party. And that's it. So,
Hey, well, everybody, they're out 20 minutes. This is a really great video. We have many more videos coming. Would you let everybody know where they can catch you and where they can reach you and how, a little bit about yourself as we end this video there?
yes, I'm sorry about the length of this, but when you have organizations who have been in bed with each other for probably over
All
40
this
years,
time, yeah.
you can meet 7 days a week at 203-556-1493. And Mr. McIntyre, I hope this time you get in touch with me, because we're going to keep on having you in these videos until you call, because that's what this demands. It demands, I've given you enough information in this video to write a nice expose. But are you going to have the chutzpah to do that? Because if you hung up the phone on me when I spoke about Caroline Kennedy, then there's something wrong. There really is. Our news media, in any way, shape, or form, whether it's TV, radio, any news program or newspaper, they're the ones who are last hope of liberty, Mr. McIntyre. And this goes out to you. And by the way, if you want to tell your lawyers that I defamed you, you can say it. But remember this, the American Bar Association, the ones that your lawyers play around with, are deeply embedded with ANSI. I've got the proof. I'll gladly give it to you when you call me. Again, my telephone number is 203 Brighton 556-1493. And you know something? I will say this of who I am through Thomas Paine. I love the man who can smile in trouble, who can gather strength from distress and grow brave by reflection. 'Tis the business of little minds, Mr. McIntyre, to shrink. And he whose heart is firm and conscience approves his conduct shall pursue his
No,
principles.
cutting out. Oh, man, it froze. No,
All set.
it's cutting out. Oh, man. The last part cut out, but we'll have to end the video here because it's like right at that last part it cut out. So here's the Adventure Guide to the Galaxies, Daryl
All right.
Goodman. We will see you in the next video. Sorry for the buffering, but they're attacking us. So, hey, we'll try to have a lot of this in the description down below. We will see you in the next video.